Local theater enthusiasts had the opportunity to take an improv workshop to learn new acting techniques. Members of the community could sign up regardless of their acting experience to learn how to improve their acting. They learned about the different types of improv and did group exercises to practice movement and interaction. Kevin Poskowich, co-owner of Poskowich Entertainment, says that he wants participants to have fun in the workshops.
Ideally, a new set of skills that maybe they didn't have, or polishing of skills that they haven't used in a while, but ultimately these are meant to be fun, and we want to get people introduced to theater. We want them to come up here, enjoy themselves, hopefully learn something they didn't know before.
Poskowich Entertainment hopes to host more acting workshops for the community in the future.